Well, there's lots to discuss. Let's speak to Philip Baum, the editor of Aviation Security International and author of Violence in the Skies, History of Aircraft Hijacking and Bombing. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, we heard there President Hollande saying that nothing can be ruled out. There are so many different things that this could be. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think on the balance, it's more likely to be a criminal act, not necessarily a terrorist attack, although terrorism is obviously at the forefront of everybody's mind, especially given the fact that it's a flight from Paris to Cairo. Two countries, France and Egypt, both very much affected by terrorism in recent years. I think given the fact that aircraft don't just disappear out of the skies nowadays for technical reasons, criminal actions on board the aircraft are the most likely cause.
So when you say criminal actions, what kind of actions are we talking about?
Well, it could be any number of things. I mean, it could be an explosive device on board, although the fact that the aircraft was lost just before it reached Cairo makes a bomb slightly less likely, because generally bombs are put on board aircraft and detonated quite early into the flight. It could be a hijack that went wrong and they lost control, or the crew fought back. We know there were 3 security guards on board the plane, and indeed, one of our fears is that either they were struggling to take back control of the aircraft, or there's always the possibility that there's somebody radicalized on board the plane, whether it's one of the crew members or whether it's one of the security staff. And then, of course, you've got the whole issue of the insider threat at one of the airports, not necessarily just Paris, but any of the airports. We know that towards the end of last year, 70 staff at Paris Charles de Gaulle were asked to leave their jobs because there were fears that they'd been radicalised.
But the security is immensely tight now. It's heightened in Charles de Gaulle, so surely that's been covered.
Well, the trouble is you can't cover everything. Most of the focus is on foraging around for explosives in luggage, and yet actually we're really concerned within the industry about the insider threat, people that have got airside access, not only in Paris, indeed everywhere in the world. That's often at the forefront of people in the aviation industry's mind when they're talking about terrorism nowadays.
But they've been vetted, haven't they, though?
They've been vetted, but there's only a limited amount you can do. You can do background checks on people, but we know that terrorist organisations use clean skins. They use people with no criminal background at all, and if somebody manages to get through the system, they have the possibility of infiltrating something onto an aircraft. And then you've got the risk of maybe, what about one of the inbound passengers, somebody coming in from Cairo into Paris, leaving something on board the aircraft, or caterers or cleaners. There are just so many possibilities out there, and until we find that aircraft, we're not going to know really what happened.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us about some of those. Philip Baum, the editor of Aviation Security International, thank you very much.